Welcome to Fantasy Booking WrestleMania 40 Night 2. The first match for this night is Judgment Day vs LWO inside War Games, but I already made a video on that, so you guys can check it out. I might put a card up in the corner, in the top right corner. If I don't, you guys can go to the channel. The video is already up. That is the first match of my WrestleMania Night 2. But the second match is Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. So Randy Orton recently returned at Survivor Series and now signed to SmackDown. I mean, that's good and all, but it kind of messed up my booking, so we're going to rewind a little bit. But obviously, this match is not happening at WrestleMania. I mean, Randy's on SmackDown, Drew is on Raw, so I'm still going to book it. What I'm going to have Randy be is a free agent. So right now on TV, he sent a message to Paul Heyman, the Bloodline, all that. So it's pretty clear that at the Royal Rumble, we're going to see Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Have Randy Orton fight against a man that took him out in the first place, getting his revenge against the Bloodline by beating Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, before the match with Roman. Now at the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton has a strong performance. The match lasts for around 25 minutes, starting off with no shenanigans. The only person in the ring is Randy and Roman, and Paul Heyman is ringside for the match. Roman and Orton has been absolutely tumbling each other, finisher after finisher, kick out after kick out. Roman realizing that Solo is not showing up. Roman is calling Solo, but Solo's not coming down to the ring. Then Roman resorts to plan B and then calls down Jimmy Uso, the second best man on his team, but he doesn't show up. And now he goes to Paul Heyman. He tells Paul Heyman to grab him a weapon. So then Paul Heyman grabs a chair from the ring. The ref sees Paul Heyman giving a chair to Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman gets ejected from ringside. So now there is no one, absolutely no one to help Roman. And this is when Roman gets distracted by an RKO from the Viper. Randy uses the opportunity to pin Roman Reigns. He gets 1, 2, no. Paul Heyman is pissing his pants right from the entrance ramp. That was the closest Roman has ever came to losing his title. And now while Roman is down, Randy uses the opportunity to get Roman in the DDT position. He gives Roman a wild DDT. He goes for the 1. He goes for the 2. No. Roman Reigns kicks out. And now Orton gives Roman another RKO, but he actually misses Roman, and Roman actually puts the referee in his position, and Randy Orton accidentally gives an RKO to the referee. So now the ref is down, and when Roman dodged the RKO, got up, and then Roman Reigns puts Randy in the corner. He gives him a Superman punch, and then he gives him a running spear to Randy Orton. He puts him on the canvas. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns retains his championship. So now, yeah, Roman retained, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's the same copy, repeat, whatever. But, you know, that's what's going to happen. Roman is not going to lose his title to Randy Orton, at least at the Rumble. I mean, I don't think it's big enough. So after the devastating loss from Roman Reigns to Randy Orton, Orton has now moved to Raw, and he's trying to find new ventures and try to deal with the same bullshit that everyone else had to deal with after losing to Roman Reigns. Now, Randy is still a babyface, so the next Raw after the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton goes out to the ring on Raw to cut a promo. He's not really looking too happy, he's not in a good mood, and he starts out by saying, "I get it. It's always the same crap when it comes to the bloodline." And I don't know what's going on with... Oh, Drew McIntyre has interrupted Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre has a smile on his face. He has a microphone in his hands, and he's walking down the aisle. Orton and Randy are face to face, and then Drew says to Orton, "Welcome to the club. Congratulations. We welcome you with open arms. Did you have fun fighting Roman? You thought you had a chance, didn't you? A chance to become Mr. 15-time. But no. It's over, Randy. It's one and done. No more chances. I found out the hard way, and so did you. See, you can beat Solo, you can beat Jimmy, you can beat whoever you want, but when it comes to Roman, you just can't get the job done." And now at this point, while Drew McIntyre is just taking shots at Randy Orton, Randy is just sick of Drew talking. So he stops him and says, "Hold on, why are you even out here?" But then Drew replies by saying, "Oh, I'm just here to let you know that I'm gonna get myself inside the Elimination Chamber and go on to do what you couldn't do. Because this isn't Drew McIntyre in 2020. This is Drew McIntyre that's sick of everything and everyone. So there's no stopping now. Because when I went but RKO'd Drew McIntyre out of nowhere. Randy Orton RKO's Drew McIntyre. So now McIntyre's laying there while Randy Orton leaves the ring, and that's how the segment ends. Both Drew and Randy furious because they can't win the title, so now they have mutual aggression towards one another. So later on that night, Drew McIntyre goes to Adam Pearce and he demands to be inside the Elimination Chamber match. But now Adam Pearce tells Drew that there aren't any plans for him to be in the match. But then Drew tells Adam that, "See, I just promised Randy Orton that I'm going to do what he couldn't do. So look me in my Scottish eyes when I say this. I will be in the Elimination Chamber match no matter what. You have until next week to say yes." And then Drew leaves Adam Pearce to decide his fate. Later that same Monday Night Raw, it gets announced that Randy Orton will face Jey Uso to see who will qualify for the Elimination Chamber match. Now this upsets Drew McIntyre because Randy Orton is getting an opportunity to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match, but Drew McIntyre doesn't, so this pisses him off even more. So now this match will happen in next week. So we're gonna fast forward to next week. We're gonna time travel. So it's time for Randy Orton with Jey Uso. Jey Uso actually asked for Randy to be his opponent as a sign of respect, and he's willing to face Randy Orton even though those two have beef, but they don't anymore. They squashed it. Both men get cheered. They're both baby faces. They don't have anything towards one another. They're all totally cool and have no beef, nothing to fight about, just to see who can qualify. So now midway through the match, Drew McIntyre interrupts the match. He comes down to the ring and he just starts watching. Now Randy is of course distracted and he gets furious with Drew. He calls him out, and now Jey Uso uses the opportunity to blindside Randy Orton because Drew is distracting him. But that wasn't enough to put Randy away. Later on in the match, when the referee isn't watching, Drew McIntyre lands multiple chair shots on the back of Randy Orton, on the once injured back of Randy Orton that left him on the shelf for over 1.5 years. So now that made Randy Orton really, really hurt. Those chair shots were brutal. Those chair shots could have almost put Randy back on the shelf, and Randy is completely broken down. Drew McIntyre throws Randy Orton back into the ring, but Jey has no other choice to land a Uso splash and go for the cover. With the brutal attack from Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso pins Randy Orton to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match, all because of Drew McIntyre. Jey then leaves the ring, and now Drew enters the ring. Drew picks up Randy Orton and he goes for a Claymore, but then Randy reverses and lands an RKO out of nowhere, getting his revenge on Drew. He yells at Drew while he's laying on the floor, "Stupid, stupid, stupid," and then he leaves the ring. The next week is the Raw before the Elimination Chamber, and there's still one spot left. So now Drew goes to Pearce and tells him, "I haven't gotten my answer yet. There's one spot left and it better have my name on it, because I get Jey Uso in a cage and I get to prove that little viper that I get to become world champion and he doesn't." Now Adam Pearce says that, "Look, well," and then Drew doesn't let Pearce speak. Drew cuts Adam Pearce off and says, "Whatever's about to come out of your mouth, it better be a yes. Because if it isn't, I will shove that sword right up your ass." And then Adam cuts Drew off and says, okay, you know what? Fine, Drew. If I was going to have a qualifying match and all that, but you know what? You're in the match, okay? You Elimination Chamber, you're the 6th member. You happy? Are you satisfied with my response?" And then Drew says, "Oh yes, I am." And then Drew walks off. So now fast forwarding through the Elimination Chamber, the two men who are starting off is Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. To be honest with you, I don't really feel like going through the entire match. So Drew McIntyre doesn't really get any eliminations. He does have a pretty strong showing. He dominates Jey Uso for most of the match, but then late into the match, he gets eliminated by Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes double teaming him. Yeah, the winner, if you're wondering who won the match, it was Cody Rhodes. So now after failing to win the Elimination Chamber match, the next Raw, Drew McIntyre is in a backstage interview being asked, "What are your intentions after failing to win the Elimination Chamber?" Drew says, "Don't you dare say the word fail, because my intentions are fully on Randy Orton and to put him down." And then Drew storms off. Drew McIntyre storms into the ring with a microphone and he's furious. He goes off and says, "This whole place is a wasteland, a dump. Why would I ever want to work here? Opportunity after opportunity getting taken away from me, and you think I shouldn't be mentally insane. You don't know me. You don't know who I am." But Orton, Randy Orton, that's who I've got next. That's who's my next victim is. Randy Orton. For now, Drew McIntyre said Randy Orton's name a few times, so what's gonna happen? Orton shows up with the microphone to confront Drew McIntyre. He says, "Drew, I get where you're coming from. You wanna be world champion, but so does every single person behind that locker room. You are not special. And since you can't get the job done, you think you can take your anger out on me? Good luck trying to pay the receipts of the Viper. Because when you start something with me, it doesn't end well. Try telling that to every single person that steps in the ring with me." But then Drew cuts Orton off and says, "I don't need to pay any receipts because I don't owe you anything. But you owe me something because you're the reason why I didn't walk out of Elimination Chamber with the opportunity to fight Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in the main event of WrestleMania." So now Randy stops Drew and says, "Do you ever just stop complaining? All you do is complaining and complaining. See, it isn't my fault that you weren't good enough to become world champion. And see, someone like me, I would have better things to worry about. But as you said, I am Mr. 15-time world champ. So I don't really need to be fighting for championships right now. I need to be fighting Drew McIntyre right now. Because unlike you, I didn't turn on the fans when I lost. In fact, I got myself back up to my feet and embraced my loss. I was going to find a new opponent to face, get my mind off Roman Reigns. But I guess the man that I needed to fight is just on the opposite end of my eyes." Drew then says, "Alright, if you want to fight me, then so be it. I'm not scared of you. All you are is washed up. They call you a legend because you're getting old, Randy." RKO to McIntyre. Never call the Viper old. That's gonna get you one hell of an ass whooping. But then Drew McIntyre actually gets back up on his feet after the RKO and starts pounding away on Randy Orton. Drew has been absolutely sick of losing and getting beat every single week. He takes his anger out on Randy Orton, and his anger is an all-time high. Randy and Drew are brawling in and out of the ring. Adam Pearce and his goon squad eventually come out to put an end to this brawl, and that's how the segment ends. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre getting held back from one another by security. Major brawl happening on Monday Night Raw. So the next Monday Night Raw, Drew McIntyre has been banned from the arena because of what he did to Drew McIntyre. But Drew McIntyre is allowed in the arena for some reason. So Randy is in a backstage interview right now on that week, and he's asked about Drew McIntyre. Randy says, "Drew McIntyre, a man I have plenty of history with. Now for some whatever reason, he wants to target me because he's desperate for a big money match with the Viper. Now I don't mind that, but something I do mind is Drew McIntyre going after the Viper. So I'm glad he isn't here this week because I'm feeling a lot more relaxed." "Are you feeling relaxed that Drew McIntyre isn't here?" And then Randy walks off. So now the next week, Drew McIntyre is back on Raw and he kicks off the show. He is mad, obviously. He starts off and he says, "Randy Orton RKO's me for 3 weeks in a row, and he faces no penalty, no charge, not even 1 week suspension. Why? Because he's considered a legend? This whole company makes me sick. While I was at home last week, I shouldn't have seen Randy Orton on my television screen. But unfortunately, I realized that this company has favorites, and if you're not one of them, you get tossed behind the shelf, put away, never to be looked back upon fighting and clawing for every single opportunity and not being able to capitalize. See, Randy, you're wondering why I went for you instead of winning a championship. I went for you because you have no one. Not a single person to help you. Your bloodline isn't with you. You're all alone with a man that's beaten you multiple times. And I know damn well that if Roman Reigns can't put an end to you forever, I will. Because guys like you are the same guys who return and immediately get title shot after title shot. It makes me sick. So at WrestleMania, this needs to happen. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, except the match. And now at this point, Randy Orton is summoned to the ring. Randy is going face to face with Drew McIntyre, and he says, if I were you, I wouldn't be running my little mouth of yours. There's a reason why you can't win that championship. You already had your chance, so get over it. Put it behind your past. See, Drew, you're still a two-time WWE champion. You beat Brock Lesnar clean in under 5 minutes. You've beaten me twice, so I don't know what you're complaining about. But, you know, back in 2020 when we had our little trilogy, it ended in 1 and 2. So I'm not scared to make it 2 and 2. So you've got yourself a match at WrestleMania. So now Randy announces this and he leaves the ring. It is official. Drew McIntyre vs Randy Orton at WrestleMania on night 2. Now there's 2 more weeks left for WrestleMania, and then the next Raw, Drew McIntyre sees Randy Orton backstage and he attacks him. Drew McIntyre completely blindsides Orton, making his statement known. Claymore kick to Randy Orton and Orton is down. Drew McIntyre taunts at Randy, letting him know what's coming for him at WrestleMania. Security now get in the scene, but Randy Orton now jumps up at Drew McIntyre, all while security is trying to break them apart. Now this is the second big brawl that happens in this storyline, and now at this point, Adam Pearce stands in the middle of the whole mess and warns Randy and Drew that if they touch one another one more time, the match is off. Any physical contact can lead them to getting the match at WrestleMania being cancelled. And now the brawl ends with McIntyre and Orton going the opposite ways from each other. Now the next week is the last Raw before WrestleMania, and in order to get his message out, Drew McIntyre is backstage cutting a promo on Randy Orton. He says, you know Randy, you're nothing but a washed up piece of donkey shit. You're not who you once were. You can't go toe to toe with Drew McIntyre. This is your last inning. I'm going to take away your return, your final run. You said that you have 10 more years left in the tank, while after WrestleMania you'll be a dead man walking. And then the screen fades to black, and that was the final words from Drew McIntyre. Both men eager to absolutely destroy one another, and the waiting is over, the talking is over. It is time for the second night of WrestleMania, the second match, Randy Orton vs Drew McIntyre. Randy Orton comes out normally, but then Drew McIntyre makes his entrance with broken dreams, because he has broken dreams and they need to come true. The fierce look in his eyes says it all. Drew is tired of playing games. He's tired of being treated as a backbone. The bell rings and both men give one good look at each other and they start throwing jabs at each other. This ain't no wrestling match. This is a brawl inside a wrestling ring. Both men grab each other, picking up each other with ease and just physically destroying their bodies to see who will win the match. Drew McIntyre lands claymores out of nowhere. He doesn't need to do the 3-2-1. It's been a good while, you know. It's been at least 10 minutes in the match. Drew McIntyre manages to land a future shock DDT. He goes for the pin. 1, 2, no. Randy Orton kicks out. And then Randy eventually gets up and gives Drew McIntyre a DDT of his own. The crowd is wild. They're fired up. And so is Randy. Now Randy goes for the cover. 1, no. Drew kicks out of the DDT. The pace of the match slows down for a little bit after those 2 DDTs. A few minutes later, the pace is slowly getting faster again, and Randy Orton has something devious in mind. He takes Drew McIntyre in the corner, he puts him on the turnbuckle, and lands a flying RKO. But Randy lands on his back, and now Drew is hurt, Randy is hurt. Both men are laying on the floor. If Randy can get the cover, it's over. Randy slowly gets up and he gets to pin Drew McIntyre. 1, 2, no. Drew somehow kicked out of the RKO. Randy is in genuine shock and he legit thought it was over. Drew gets back up and he gives Randy a slam, and Orton lands on his back. So at this point, Randy is now hurt after, all the punishment. Drew then lands another Claymore kick. Then he lands a Future Shock DDT to Orton. And then he looks at the crowd. He yells, "Is this your Viper? Is this your Legend Killer?" 3, 2, 1. Claymore kick to Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre goes for the cover. He gets the 1 count, he gets the 2 count, and ladies and gentlemen, he gets the 3 count. Drew McIntyre gets his big win at WrestleMania. He beats Randy Orton in the middle of the ring clean, and Drew finally has won a big singles match that really matters in the first time in a long time. So this is how I would book Drew McIntyre's Randy Orton. Not too much focus on promos, but basically just more of just a match that people just want to see now. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, all that. Try to get me to 8,000 subscribers. I want to try to hit it before the end of the year, but I don't really think it's gonna happen. So peace.